Welcome to Salesforce's Leaders Weigh In on the biggest professional services trends in the time of COVID-19. We invite you to ask questions throughout the program using the Ask a Question box on the screen. Please welcome Salesforce's Vice President, Commercial Sales, Lamonte Brown.
Good morning. My name is Lamonte Brown, and I'm the VP of Sales at Salesforce, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here today to our webinar to talk about the trends in professional services during COVID. Now, there's a lot that's going on in our world today. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. There's economic uncertainty, and the U.S. has a major election next week. But all this said, it's more critical than ever for companies to plan their digital transformation. Today, we're going to talk about some of the trends that we've identified from the professional services data slice taken from our biannual State of Sales research. The trends we are discussing today came from the professional services data cut that we captured as part of the fourth edition of our State of Sales report. This is a global study that we do where we surveyed over 6,000 full-time sales operations, sales representatives, and sales leadership professionals, 655 of whom work in professional services. This includes both users and non-users of Salesforce products. The surveys were conducted between mid-May and late June of this year, so it's very current on how business development professionals are navigating the current period. We're excited as this is the first time we've really looked at this industry in detail for our State of Sales research. We think this industry matters. Services are only becoming a larger and larger part of our economy, be it consulting, legal, or staffing. What's more, the function of business development in this space hasn't necessarily gotten a lot of attention. People generally just talk about the end services that are delivered, not how clients or projects are won. Even the idea of a dedicated business development function hasn't been found universally among professional services firms. So this research is our commitment to the understanding and support of this function better. We're going to talk to you about what we've learned from the research, but also bring these trends to life with a panel discussion to get a view of the firm's experiences right now. But before I begin, I just want to give a quick reminder that customers should base their purchasing decisions on products and services that are currently available. Now, I'd like to share with you the trends that we identified in our research. So, with our first trend, due to economic environment, professional services organizations face new challenges in maintaining client relationships and driving growth. Professional services firms have always focused on relationships, more often than not, giving insights by walking the halls. The current environment has changed that, but with 81% of those working in business development having had to adapt to new ways of selling. At the same time, 65% of respondents reported being mostly or completely confident in their firm's growth strategy for the next 12 months, which is higher than other industries. And then with our second trend, the majority of professional service leaders, they agree on this, that digital transformation is here to stay. A majority, 88% of business development professionals in professional services say that the digital transformation has accelerated this year. When we talk about digital transformation, we define it as the process of using digital technologies to create new or modify existing business processes, culture, and customer experiences to meet changing business and marketing requirements. We've long seen that top-performing firms have focused on delivering a comprehensive client experience and have used digital tools to make that possible. This extends not just from initial client engagements, but right through to the insights and feedback that cap off a project. And our third trend, with the imperative for digital transformation, professional services is a star innovator in many areas of technology adoption. However, this isn't consistently the case. Business development teams in professional services are ahead of other industries in technology adoption, particularly when it comes to automation and AI. Yet, 45% of business development professionals say prioritizing needs and opportunities is primarily manual at their firm, while around 60% say they spend too much time logging activities like emails, phone calls, and notes. Reducing this overhead means that reps can focus on understanding clients' needs. And our fourth trend, despite productivity challenges and market distractions, business development professionals and professional services are finding ways to connect with clients. We were not surprised to see that empathy is strong in this industry. With 91% of business development professionals in this industry say they care about the challenges their clients face. Right now, there's nothing that's more important. We've observed that our customers are really focused on providing their clients with the right insights at the moment, and I'm sure you've seen the wealth of fascinating research that has been produced this year. And to our final trend, path forward. Professional services firms are looking to new growth strategies, processes, and tools as they build and sustain client relationships. There are two key growth tactics that firms are considering, namely expanding routes to market and expanding inside key accounts. In the case of our panelist, Eide Bailly, one of their new routes to market this year has been a series of educational webinars about SBA loans that have showcased the firm to entirely new audiences. Any new tactic is going to require careful testing and measurement. So let's face it, some of this is going to work and some of it won't. But we're excited to see that the industry is looking forward to driving growth in 2021. And now I'd like to bring our panelists into this conversation. And I also like to remind the audience to submit questions to us. So at this time, please join me in welcoming Julie Miller, Principal from Deloitte, and Jason Dellis, Chief Growth Officer at Eide Bailly. Good morning, Jason. Good morning, Julie. How are you?
Good morning. Great, Lamont. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
Good morning
Jason,
as well.
how you doing this morning?
Excellent this morning. Thank you.
Good. Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I am the Chief Growth Officer for Eide Bailly, a top 25 CPA firm here in the U.S. Background in the CPA, been in the industry for about 20 years. And my role right now is to lead the growth efforts, both in sales and marketing, as well as in working with our professionals to develop strategies for growth for Eide Bailly.
Great. Thank you, Jason. And Julie?
I am a partner within Deloitte Consulting's Technology, Media, and Entertainment practice. I also lead our Salesforce practice for telco, media, and entertainment, and work closely with your team in helping our clients solve their biggest challenges.
Thank you very much. Both of you are great partners at Salesforce, and we definitely appreciate you. So, just to level set, you both had a lot of experience in this industry, and you've seen, many downturns. And Julie, I'll start with you. What's different? Sure. What is the same about what we're currently experiencing today?
If I think about the previous downturn, it was in ones I've experienced before. It was really an industry that was primarily damaged or impacted by the downturn. The difference now is that it's all of us, it's all industries, it's around the globe, it's all countries, and that it's almost makes, I tell my team sometimes, I say we're all in this together because we're all challenged with the same sort of challenges that we see each day. What makes it the same is my team and I talk and we say, now's the time to show up. Now's the time to hustle. Now's the time to, number one, focus on personal, as that's the number one priority, but let's be creative and figure out ways that we can help our clients and come together as a team.
Oh, I agree 100% with that. This is an opportunity for us to show up and do our best work. Jason, we're now at a point where we're seeing distinct stages in the events of this year. What are some of the differences between what you experienced in, let's say, April, May versus now?
April, May were really about just sitting back and trying to understand, first of all, keeping our employees safe, like every firm was working on, trying to adjust to a model where we went from part of our employees working in offices, some working remote, to everyone working remote like a lot of firms did. So it was guidance more around just trying to, get the ship right, make sure we're safe in what we're trying to do, And then also looking to customers to try to say, okay, how do we help them and our clients work, weather the storm and get prepared for what's going on? A lot of it in May was really about, like you hinted at, it's around the PPP loans. It's some of the initiatives up front to really establish what are we going to do going forward. And so a lot of it was just stabilization more than anything else, trying to get everything ready. There's also in our industry, uncertainty around tax deadlines and what's going to happen on that side. So I think everyone was just trying to move as forward as good as possible. And then it's kind of eventually got into a rhythm where it worked really well. Today, I think that we're starting to see more coming out, especially in our industry. We're a lagging industry in the CPA industry. So we are having a really phenomenal year overall and really busy in helping clients and going through their plans. So a lot of what we're doing right now is it's rehiring, getting more people out there. We are seeing more from the buyer side and activity on that level. So now it's just kind of take advantage of the opportunities out there. They're a little bit harder to find out there, but take advantage when they're there and go out and just help clients like we do day by day.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad to hear that you're also rehiring right now. Our economy definitely needs it. Let me say, a majority, 91% of business development professionals in the industry say that they care about the challenges their clients face. And I'd be interested to understand, from both of you, how you manage those relationships. And Julie, I'll start with you. Firms this year have produced some incredible content and research to help their clients and the general public. How has your firm used this in a structured way to deepen engagement with clients?
Sure. So from a Deloitte Consulting perspective, we've come together across industry and across function, and we think of this in three phases. The respond phase, which was initial, we were all sort of in shock around the pandemic, and that's business continuity as best as can be. Then we look at it as recover, which there's a reboot, and recover, which is emerging stronger or at the same place as one client might have been before. And then the final is thriving, which is how does a client pivot to differentiating themselves and coming out of the COVID scenario and the manner in which we come out into our new normal, which we all say, to differentiate against competitors. So we use that framework and leverage that. And of course, we have a methodology that we can work with our clients, say, all right, where are you within this framework? And we have assets, Deloitte does, and accelerators to help guide our clients in terms of their people and their technology and key opportunity areas to focus on.
Oh, great. And when you're talking about managing that process, because that's not an easy task, how are you doing that?
So I think about this in a couple of ways. With existing clients, I've found that I spend more time and it's more of a personal connection. And there are deals that I've done over this COVID period that our firm's never done, frankly, and half of this was selling internally, but my client was in desperate need, because they had a challenge because of COVID in terms of a revenue. The revenue was not coming in because of a gap in capability. And so I think it's staying close to clients, and it's being an advocate for our clients, and then being able to sell internally a solution that we may not have previously sold, but guess what? There's one that we do now within Deloitte. So that's for existing clients, and then for new clients, we have this solution. We work with you guys around work.com, back to work, and we have My Path, which is contact awareness, and we have a one-pager, and I've led this across our team, and I've said it doesn't hurt. It's not salesy. We're all in need of trying to figure out how to get back to work when we need to leave the home, right? If you can't work from home, if we're wherever we might be, if you have to go outside of the home. And so it's send a one-pager, and if the client responds, and that's how we'll build a relationship, but it's genuinely on a need, and it's not quote unquote salesy, which is super important. And everything that we're trying to do is around empathy to start.
No, great. I think leading with that empathy is very critical in today's times. Jason, you lead a dedicated business development function at Eide Bailly. What are some of the examples of new or different tactics you have taken to address existing clients as well as prospects?
I like what Julie had to say, and the fact you look at what the needs are of the clients, and their different needs change as you go forward. And what I like about it also is that she's talking about how we're helping outside of our CPA area, which is just focused on the financial side, looking at what's important for the business. So when I think about how we've aligned our business development teams with current clients, it's really taking a holistic look at what the issues are, getting out of what's important, just what we want to sell, and being, from a growth perspective, but looking at it from the client's perspective and saying, how can we help them with their current situation? And if they had initiatives or a strategic plan in place beforehand, what are we doing to help you still keep that on track despite COVID and all the a little bit of the downturn and hardship that's going on? But it does change the strategy about just making sure it's about them, not us. What I find funny about your stat that 91% of the business developers care about their clients, I want to know about the other 9%. Like, why wouldn't you care about your clients?
Shouldn't that be 100?
That was the first. Yeah, that's the first thing that struck me on that one.
I was curious too.
But we are seeing that when a new client, that's the harder ship right now, right? So I think we have access, and everyone has access to current clients. They're looking for help. They're looking for advice because no one's been through this before. And we have experience working with a variety of customers that can help give them insights too. For new clients, it's really those that we've had relationships in the past. There's still access, but you don't have the events that we used to have. So being one of the smaller firms compared to like a Deloitte, we spend a lot of times investing in our communities, working in events. And so you get the chance to go run into people and build relationships that way. Well, that doesn't exist now. So what are you doing to change your approach to be more direct, more outreach, be thinking about more provocative ideas about what can really help a client so they're going to want to have that phone call? But it's really just changing the approach and getting people to stop waiting for happenstance, but being more purposeful in the efforts they're doing from a growth perspective.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, no, I agree 100% on that. Julie, we talked about this, earlier as we were prepping for this. And you lead the practice, of consultants who interact with clients on, to deliver projects. What are the challenges and opportunities that you found when it comes to client management at Deloitte?
Back to what Jason said, we don't see our client. We're not going to dinner. We don't see our clients day to day on a regular basis, and we take that for granted previously, right? And so some of the challenges are, all right, what is the information that I'm going to share? How do I share it in a crisp manner? And so I'm most productive using the best use of my client's time. So that's what's been hard, because I've turned Zoom into Zooming, right? Because we're busy the full day, and it's really just the engagement. What's the right way to engage? When's the right time to text? When's the right time to have a call? And then how do we just make sure that we're super productive in terms of engaging with our clients on the right matters?
Definitely. I have the same challenges with my team today. We're all used to, going out, whether you're walking the halls or you're sitting down having dinner, with your clients, and you're building that rapport. It doesn't exist anymore. We're all sitting on Zoom calls or Google Meets, and we're trying to redefine ourselves in the way that we go to market, and the way that interact with our clients. And it's challenging, but everyone's going through it, and we'll all come out here on top.
That's right.
So let's transition over to defining the digital transformation. Jason, anecdotally, we hear that firms are using this time for housekeeping, namely fixing internal processes. Can you tell us about, how you've been doing this at Eide Bailly?
So I tell you that many firms have had had CRM systems and had these processes in place for some of the analytics that come with understanding your client base better. Our journey started a little bit later than some of the other firms. So we invested in, launched our CRM system last year in 2019. And in doing so, we had to do a lot of the business process change that took place. There's a disadvantage in the fact that I think we are late to the game just a little bit, but there's advantages also in the fact that when we do have CRM now, Salesforce. We've stepped into, versus it being the old days of just being a data repository, to seeing the awesome power that comes from the insights and the analytics that come from Salesforce now. So that has set the stage for our digital transformation, is really leveraging on that. We're looking for ways not only through CRM and some of the, looking at like professional service automation, We just revamped our Eide Bailly, so it's my Eide Bailly, our client portal. Instead of just being a data exchange, now it's really a way for us to really do the project management and some work around that with our clients. So it's really, and then personally, we're doing a lot of work just around digital literacy and making sure our teams understand that both from their personal perspective, as well as doing a good job of cross-training. So we have an exchange program where we bring some of our audit teams and go have them work with our data analytics, our cybersecurity, our intelligent automation teams to really come in and get more rounded. So as they have access to clients and work with them on a regular basis, they can be looking for the opportunities how to help. Not in that sales mode, but more in that advisory mode, which is what we want to be doing in the first place. So I tell you, there's a lot of great, awesome business processes going that we've put in place that are leveraged and enhanced by having such great technologies like Salesforce and other tools out there with our client delivery services.
Oh, great. Thank you, Jason. And Julie, I'll pose that same question to you as far as what you're doing over at Deloitte.
Right. So we've adopted Salesforce also internally, and use it, number one, to manage our sales channel, but also what we've used it for now is having a capability for individuals who might need to travel or might need to visit a client to submit a request, and to have a simplistic way in which this request is approved. So we're automating. We've already been on a journey similar to Jason in terms of leveraging Salesforce for our sales practice, but we're continuing to extend what the capabilities within Salesforce to manage this COVID world, if you will.
And let me expand on that a little bit as well. How have you taken your experiences, out to your customers to really help them grow and mature through their digital transformation?
Yes. So I may not answer your question directly, but I was thinking of this as Jason was speaking, and we've worked together at a very large telco and implemented lead management in an omni-channel fashion. And this, I'll be frank and say omni-channel. I was like, well, it really is omni-channel. Does it mean you have to tear out all of your channel infrastructure and implement a technology such as Salesforce? And it doesn't. And the benefit for those who've been ahead and have implemented omni-channel have allowed customers, prospect to engage at the channel of their choice at the time of their choice, leveraging Salesforce as a hub, if you will, to then manage that experience. That's powerful, because what happens now is there's COVID that's happened, and guess what? There's a lead that might have gone to a retail store where the retail rep is not really in the store at this point. We might want to send it over the digital channel. And this is with the capabilities of omnichannel and digital focus, it's configuration versus a heavy lift in terms of digitizing.
Oh, that's great. Jason, do you have any comments in regards to that as far as what how you're taking this plan out to your customers?
Very similar to what Julie's saying. So again, it's trying to be more rounded. And so again, not that focus on the financial side of the aspect, but taking that holistic approach to how do we help customers. So we're doing a lot of work with Salesforce in talking to our clients just about understanding their client base better. Frankly, it follows a similar journey to what we do. We have a good story to tell ourselves, and we can go talk about that with our clients. But just helping them to think beyond what they're doing as we look at, the operations side of the business and their data side of the business and what we're doing. To us, it's really, you go through the same things. How do you segment your client base and customers, understand what their needs are? How can you create process efficiencies through the billing process and some of the technologies that exist within Salesforce or other tools to do that process? But really, it is. We think of it, if you put yourselves in their shoes and you're running this operation, what aspects of the business would you look at? And clearly sales and growth is going to be one of those. And how can we help them guide them through that process based on what we've learned?
Just one other point, and I agree 100% with Jason. It triggered a thought too of, I'm personally reaching in also into the AI piece, which you mentioned before, and one of the trends, and really saying, all right, where can we automate? Where intelligently automate? Where can we learn? Just as we look at digitization and progressing forward, because it really is key with some of the bots and some of the things that can be done with some of these repetitive processes. I think that's also absolutely critical as we progress in the digitization, if you will, next phase of it.
Yes. You mentioned the bot piece of that. Any other low-hanging fruit you think that's out there companies are going through this transformation?
I won't name the examples, but I think that there's some tasks that are repetitive. I know that there are tasks that are repetitive, and it's really now with some of the cost pressures of saying, all right, can we automate these tasks and can we do this together? And there's some out there across different functions, as Jason mentioned, which AI could play, and along with Salesforce.
Okay, thank you. So we talked about the clients, and they're definitely important, but now we're going to transition over to the teams. And I'd like to talk more about how your teams are continuing to deliver high quality work. So here's a question that's going to be for both Julie and Jason. But Julie, we'll start with you. What do you do to ensure you and your teams are able to maintain that work-life balance when work is even more present in the home?
Loaded question. It's a work in progress every day. I got to tell you, I try to live by example, but I feel like I've gotten a little out of control in terms of all of the Zoom meetings and such. Trying to stay in touch with our people and make sure my leads are staying in touch with my leads. My first concern is really about our people. And I'm going to veer a little bit off of the question. We had a small 12-group session led by our Deloitte Greenhouse group. And we had 2 questions to answer as leaders. What have our challenges been personally and professionally, and what have we done about it? When I tell you, our people are going through some serious trauma and hardships. There were tears. There's things that people that I would say are my good friends that I had no idea they were going through. So first and foremost, let's check in, make sure our people are okay. And then we work toward the engagement with the clients. And that's almost what we know how to do on a regular basis, especially in consulting, because we're traveling a lot. And the offshore individuals really haven't changed and outside of being, working from home and such. So I don't have the silver bullet answer, but I worry most about our people and their health and the health of their families, and things that we aren't even aware that's going on, because there's a lot going on right now.
No, there is, and that's a great answer. I mean, once again, going back to empathy here, right? Making sure our people are okay. I think that's first and foremost, them and their families. And I try to make sure I do that with my teams, every day, because it's about them. And we know that there's a lot going on, and people are being challenged and stretched, very thinly here. So it's important for us to let them know that we do care about them as individuals, as people, as family members, and not just as a number or a statistic. Jason, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I agree. That's why I love this industry, right? You have a lot of caring, and you work day in and day out with people. And so if you look at the firm culture we have, I'm sure it's the same at Deloitte and others, but it's really that caring mentality that these are people we care about. We care about their families. We care about them personally, just like Julie was saying. I think it was a great response. We've also looked at ways of just how do we connect more often. Like a lot of firms, we did the initial, virtual happy hours and things like that just to be able to build greater connection. One of the challenges that we were trying to think through is how do you develop new staff as they come into the organization when you're not face to face. And so that part is we've had to be a bit more creative in thinking through solutions and way to do that. One of those areas that we've done and a couple of the teams experimented is just keeping Zoom call open all day long. If you're on for 30 minutes, you feel like you have to be attentive, engaging in what's going on, but they just keep it running in the background and allows them to still hear each other, to ask questions without having to log in or make phone calls or emails. And it's had an impact on just being able to build a little bit deeper connection, even though everyone's working from their homes right now. So it's just just trying to think, like you're saying, the empathy. How do we make connections? How do we take care? We also look at statistics too. So even sitting on the management team, we're looking at statistics just to see how many hours have been worked and logged versus utilization rates and some other metrics like that to help us just get a base level understanding. Do we see a trend or issue going on that we haven't in the past? So just constantly checking, being very diligent about that is what we've been doing.
Right. No, great. And I'm pretty sure that will pay off, and employees will appreciate that. We have a question from the audience. This is from Patricia over at Builders VC. Due to the pandemic, Do you find yourself finding a strategy to retain customers or find a
Yes.
new strategy to gain new customers
Sure.
and or demographics?
Both. And it goes back
Okay.
to what Jason said before of it really is becoming laser focused on what are the key capabilities around some of the trends you talked about, digitization, getting individuals back to work who need to be back to work, and how do we position those offerings or needs, if you will, to existing and to new clients. And the other component is then how do we invest and how do we really put skin in the game from a Deloitte perspective to really demonstrate our willingness to partner with our existing as well as new customers. So it's both. It's nurturing existing and then determining opportunities for new, which in key areas. Jason,
Okay.
if you have a comment on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I would agree with you on the current clients. I think we all understand that you have access. One thing that's nice about our industry is there are areas where you kind of have to keep doing the work. Everyone needs a tax return. Everyone typically needs an audit once you're of a certain size. So there's always a reason to have a base level of customers. But what are you doing with those customers above and beyond what's required to help them and through that process? And just honestly, just be a good listener and challenge their thinking and help them think through things. It may not result in a sale at the end of the day, but the strategy really is just to get out as much as possible on a regular basis and be that advisor. For new clients, really this goes back to sales 101, right? It's what we might not be used to, but it is just doing really good targeting and segmentation of who you're trying to target, understanding the value proposition that you're providing or what you're trying to do that differentiates you maybe from a competitor or even just differentiates you from the standpoint that you bring some insight or thought-provoking idea to them that helps them think through things. But ultimately, it might even go back to the real basics of cold calling if you really want to get into the door. We want to use warm leads. We want to run into people. But truly, if you're going to step back and really want to get sales, you may have to go back to what you did in the past that was successful that you've lost track of because you found success in other areas. So it just depends on what you're trying to do.
No, that's a great response.
I use that term, yeah. Cold call. And I think with that also is having confidence and being okay with the quote unquote cold call. I'll send my one pager around an opportunity to help. And if I don't get a response, fine. If I get a response, great. And if it's another area, don't take it personally, but have confidence and really trust in the value that you can add.
And I think that's hard too, because if you look at the professionals in our industry, so many people the way we've always done it is being reactive. You get good referral sources, you get the banker, the attorney, and you're used to getting a source of leads coming in. Well, when that pipeline cuts off like it did back in 08, 09, and 10, you had to do something different back then. I think this is not a recession yet. I mean, there's things going on. This was a pandemic that triggered what we're facing right now. And there wasn't a collapse like in the mortgage market. So it's different. And we're kind of this uncertainty right now what this is going to look like. But what lessons can we learn back from those days that might apply, even though it may not be the same severity? What can we do now to take advantage of it and kind of go forward to, step ahead a little bit from a market share perspective?
Agreed.
No, that's a great answer. Here's another question coming from Ed. Any tips on scaling personalized communication with clients?
Yeah. So personalized communication, what are you doing to really enhance that? With marketing automation tools, Pardot and the like, that's what we use. There's ways you can get that communication, again, segmenting by what you're trying to the right market segment. The message has to be correct. You have to be really purposeful in what you're trying to do. It can't just be generic messaging across the board. There's other tools out there. I don't mean to give a plug, but Outreach and other tools like that really are designed to be able to enhance and what you're doing from a one-on-one communication and make that a little bit easier and purposeful. So really, it's just sitting back. And I think there needs to be a stronger alignment between marketing and sales. I still think that the divider or the siloed efforts between marketing and sales is still a challenge, across all business, but in our industry, we see it a lot. And so really trying to make sure that the work they're doing really resonates and there's feedback loops so that the sales is saying, here's what we're seeing in the marketplace and here's what their concerns are. What can we do from a solutions perspective to really kind of share ideas and get them thinking differently? And so it's a bigger overall function you need to do as opposed to one singular activity.
And I'm interpreting the question differently, and I'm not sure what Ed was intending. But no, but I could be wrong, and some things in my mind that I wanted to also say. Now more than ever, trust and transparency sounds cliche, but it's so important and it's critical. In being a professional services organization, typically we've always, been known as quote unquote the advisors, if you will, and we have the experience. I've said this with clients more than a handful of times. We're dealing with this together. I can bring our best thinking, our experience is what we have to date, and you the same. So we're working through this together, which is a different way of working that I've never worked before in my over almost 25 years in consulting. And that's what actually makes it a bit fun, right? It's the clients and what they're seeing as well as us, and coming up with some innovative solutions and ideas of how to progress forward. So honesty, I don't have any other, just how I live by. Honesty, trust, and ask the tough questions that may be uncomfortable, but it's okay. Be confident and comfortable doing so.
Oh, I agree. I've taken up mindfulness during this COVID period, and one of the things that I've learned from it is I need to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yep.
The way that we used to do things in the past is no longer the way we're going to do things, right? We're all reinventing ourselves and the way we go to market. So with that being said, and taking us to our fifth trend, everyone is now very much focused on 2021. And our fifth trend is that around 3/4 of professional services firms are looking to new growth strategies, such as new routes to market and expanding within key accounts. Julie, what has you excited about 2021?
I'm excited about the ideas and the innovation that's coming to bear right now of how we're progressing forward, how we're digitizing, how we're helping our people and giving them flexibility, how frankly we're not going to be we don't need to be on a plane all the time to support our clients. I think I'm hopeful, and I believe that this pandemic is going to cause or result in clients really moving to digitize and to really optimize, so we all are somewhat prepared if this is to happen to give flexibility. So I'm optimistic and hopeful that next year will be a little bit different. We'll be able to see each other, spend some time together, and I think that we'll have some new ideas of things that we can do together with our clients and with our people and our partners.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Julie. Jason, what are you looking forward to most in 2021?
I'm looking forward to seeing some of the initiatives worked on this year start to see some fruition with that. I think there's a lot of great work that, as firms, and we've been kind of sitting on the sidelines from May till, April to May or March, whatever that was earlier on. I think there's been a lot of great work where you have to evaluate what are we working on internal processes to improve. And so I see so many different ways where, even as we look at areas like how are we doing to get growth? So I'll just take it from a growth perspective here. What are we doing to get growth? And that's just getting teams organized, get people to stop working in isolated little offices, but work as greater teams and collaborate better together on what we're doing there. But also even looking at expansion of our business development team, or looking at internal hindrances that are blocking us from growth. And how do we, you talk about tension is a great thing. You talked about it kind of with being mindful, but tension is a good thing when it helps you and get into a better place than where you are today, if it helps you challenge what you're going there. So a lot of great things going on from internally here at Eide Bailly. And I can't wait to see what that's going to look like as we start seeing people develop, and then starting to say, okay, what's next? What do we do from a leadership development standpoint? But just from a business issue perspective, what are we doing to really position our people to develop the right way, get excited to serve customers, and get out in the marketplace more and more? So it's going to be a great year, I think, in 21.
No, I agree with you 100%. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for COVID to come to an end and us to get back to our new world, not the past world, and these digital transformations that we've been going all around the country and discussing with our customers. So it's going to be an exciting time, a fun time, and I look forward to working with both of you going forward. With that said, our session has come to an end, and I want to thank you both, Julie and Jason, for your time today, your commitment to the professional services industry and making it better. And thank you for your time today. Would also like to remind everyone in the audience that there's a survey that's going to be sent out. Please take a few minutes to fill that out, but we greatly appreciate everyone's time here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Lamont. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Lamont. Julie.